On this episode of Cox Connections, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People is the oldest, largest, and strongest civil rights organization in the United States. Last May, the Roanoke branch awarded 13 people Citizen of the Year awards. We'll hear from the branch president. And later, after undertaking a fundraising campaign to restore the 611 locomotive, the Fire Up 611 committee saw the Queen of Steam thunder through the Roanoke Valley once again. Thousands turned out to catch a glimpse as it made its journey from North Carolina. Bev Fitzpatrick and Peg McGuire from the Virginia Museum of Transportation will join us in the studio. But coming up first, the positive development of quality after-school and summer programs for youth residing in the Roanoke Valley is the mission of the recent Cox Charities grant winner, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Southwest Virginia. The 2015 Cox Charities grant will help the organization with its Project Learn program. We'll hear from the Director of Operations, Calvin Curry. Stay tuned, Cox Connections is next.
The economic impact of sports in our region is just incredible, just like the tourism industry.
It's really another way to help people with their personal finances. How do you save that money? How do you grow that money?
It started with a lot of community input, and that's something that we're very, very proud of.
What we've noticed is children who enter kindergarten ready to learn do much better down the road.
Grand & Co Lab is a hub for idea generation, what we like to call ideation.
Welcome to Cox Connections, a link between you, our customers, and what's happening in the community we share. I'm Jeff Merritt, Market Vice President for Cox Roanoke. Cox Charity, the charitable giving and philanthropic arm of Cox Virginia, proudly supports nonprofit organizations in the Roanoke Valley. Earlier this year, Cox awarded grants totaling over $135,000 to organizations in Virginia. The Boys and Girls Clubs of Southwest Virginia received a $10,000 grant. Joining me is the Director of Operations, Calvin Curry. Calvin, thanks for joining us today.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start off a little bit with some information about the Boys and Girls Clubs here in Roanoke.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about how many kids are there and types of programs that they do.
Okay. The Boys and Girls Clubs was founded in 1860 in Hartford, Connecticut. Our organization is over 150 years old as a national model, but the local model here in Roanoke is 18 years old. When we were first founded, we were called the Boys and Girls Club of the Roanoke Valley, but since we expanded into other counties, we're now known as the Boys and Girls Clubs of Southwest Virginia.
Okay.
On a day-to-day basis at our Roanoke Club, we average about 115 students per day throughout the school year. During the summer, around 60 kids, and we have over 200 kids that are registered at our club.
That's amazing. That's great. And they come after school and they spend a little bit of time doing different things. I think we're going to talk a little bit about Project Learn, which is the first part of that.
Yes.
So Project Learn, they arrive from school, and what happens then?
Okay. Most of our kids arrive immediately after school. We have a great partnership with Roanoke City School Systems. They bus 19 different schools to our 9th Street Club. As soon as students arrive, the first thing the students do is a program called Power Hour, and that's simply at least 1 hour minimum of kids doing their homework. We have our staff members in place, and the staff members help the kids with their homework.
Gotcha. And so some kids may need some additional help beyond just that hour, or there's some additional support functions there for that?
Correct. We've been very blessed that we have some great tutors that come to our club throughout the week. If we see a kid that needs individual attention and needs more than 1 hour's more help, then we'll take a tutor and we'll pair that tutor up with the child that may need help.
Gotcha. And there's a mentoring program tied to that as well, right?
That's correct. We try to take some of our mentors and pair them up with kids in our club. Right now we have about 50% of our kids that come from single parent households. So if we see a need, if we see a kid that needs a little bit more attention, we'll grab a volunteer who would like to spend some time mentoring kids, and we simply bring the club kid and the volunteer together.
Excellent, excellent. And so Project Learn is a great program. We've got it here in Roanoke, and it's actually being used in multiple clubs across.
Correct. We have 3 clubs underneath our umbrella. We have our flagship club, which is the 9th Street Club. We also have a club at Shawsville Middle School, and we also have a club at Christiansburg Middle School. Nationally, when you look at the Boys and Girls Club, regardless if the club is in New York City, in California, or on a military base, you will find many of these national programs at all of those individual clubs.
That's great. That's great. I love what you're doing for the community there and helping kids, and you have summer programs as well that are kind of keeping some of that going through the summer as well.
That's correct. Yeah. We just started summer camp last week. It runs for 9 weeks. We're open from 7:30 to 5:30 Monday through Friday. Summer camp gives us an opportunity to make sure that all of the gains that the children have made through the school year, that they don't have that loss throughout the summer by not being engaged in reading, STEM activities, and some of the other things that really keep them sharp so that when they start school in August, they're ready to step right in.
That's a big deal, because a lot of kids over the summer, if they're not given that opportunity to read or even have access to broadband or different things to keep up with that, they can really start behind in September.
That's correct, and that's another thing that we are very thankful for our relationship with Cox, because Cox has built a wonderful computer lab at our 9th Street Club. We have over 10 computers, internet access. Many of our students do not have internet access at home. So when they come into the club, regardless of what kind of homework they have, if they have to do any research, if they have to do anything that involves a computer, they can come right into the Cox lab, do their homework right at the club. That way when their parents pick them up, they don't have to go to a library or to a friend's house to do computer homework. Yeah,
that's really big today. I mean, it seems like you can hardly get through school without having that access. That's great.
It's something that many of us take for granted who have computers at home. But for many of our kids, that's a luxury that they do not have. But thankfully, when they come to the club, they're able to do that work right at the Boys and Girls Club.
That's great. That's great. And so, volunteers, you mentioned volunteers earlier. Tell me a little bit about the volunteers, and if people are interested in volunteering, what sort of thing you might consider.
Sure. We have high school volunteers. We have volunteers that are college students. We have volunteers that work right in the Roanoke Valley, and we have persons who are retired that just want to give back some time. We open our arms to anyone that can spend at least 1 hour per week at the Boys and Girls Club. We're open from 2:30 to 7 o'clock throughout the school year, Monday through Friday. So as long as a volunteer can fit that window, we encourage them to simply call our main number and simply ask for a volunteer application.
That's great.
All of our volunteers have to pass a criminal background check along with an application, and we also give them a tour of our club, which takes about 30 minutes.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, as we wrap up, we've talked a lot about the learning aspect of it, but I've been there and I've seen the kids, and it's not all about schoolwork. They have a great time and a great fun there. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. During the summer, we take our kids bowling, we take them swimming. During the school year, we have a basketball team. We have a group of young ladies that are part of our cheer squad. We try to keep our kids physically active every day that they're in the club. 100% of our club kids are involved in physical activity every day. So academics is very important, but we also want to make sure that they have an opportunity to kick a ball, to have some fun, to relax, and to get some physical activity in.
That's great, doing mind and body there. That's fantastic.
That's right.
Calvin, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.
To learn more about the programs offered by the Boys and Girls Clubs of Southwest Virginia and how to enroll a child, go to bgcswva.org. Coming up next, in May this year, the Roanoke branch of the NAACP recognized 13 people for their positive impacts in the Roanoke Valley. Brenda Hale, the branch president, will join us. Stay tuned.